Tonight on Global TV News Prime, President Tinubu orders pension raise, free healthcare for retirees. Federal Executive Council approves creation of National Council on Humanitarian Affairs Poverty Reduction. Business, Tinubu approves 1.5 trillion naira recapitalization for Bank of Agriculture. On the foreign scene, Putin says meeting with Trump could take place in United Arab Emirates. In his post tonight, Athletics Federation of Nigeria confirms Ophilis Turkey switch. Hello and a very warm welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Prime on Global TV, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Uyi Agmofwegbe, reminding our viewers that we are on DSTV channels 365 and Star Times 276. Tonight, let's begin by telling you President Bola Tinubu has ordered the immediate implementation of overdue pension increases and the rollout of free healthcare access for low-income retirees under the contributory pension scheme. A statement signed by Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, says the President emphasized that retirees, particularly those with limited means, deserve dignity, support and access to basic services after years of service to the nation. The directive, which forms part of the administration's broader social protection agenda, was issued after a briefing by the Director General of the National Pension Commission, Omolola Olowaroro, at the State House in Abuja. The Federal Executive Council has approved the creation of the National Council on Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction. Minister of State for Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, Dr. Yusuf Tanko Sununu, announced this during a media briefing on sustainable efforts to address the humanitarian challenges caused by the partial suspension of World Food Programme operations in Nigeria's northeastern and northwestern regions. Kikalomo Okere has details.
The Minister of State for Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, Dr. Yusuf Tanko Sununu, says the Council will oversee and guide humanitarian activities across the country and will be led by the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction. He noted that the Council aimed to ensure efficient coordination between the Federal Ministry as well as state and local government to improve implementation and monitoring of humanitarian programs.
Our status that we made the country when the ministry is considered as a cash and carry and business as usual enterprises. So Mr. President is focusing on the fact that we must redeem the image of the ministry and institute principle of accountability and transparency.
He says the initiative is part of the government's wider strategy to enhance poverty alleviation and humanitarian responses, particularly to fill gaps resulting from the disruption in WFP activities in affected regions.
And therefore, we have to develop a memo to the Federal Executive Council, which has got the approval of the Council, to have National Council on Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction. This will give us a way to develop a program that is not a federal program, but a national program in its right from inception, implementations, and oversight, so that we can have a document that will give us on our own.
The minister emphasized President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's commitment to restoring the ministry reputation by promoting accountability and transparency in its operations. Kikalomo Okere, Global Television News.
We appreciate your reporting tonight, Kikalomo. In a bid to tackle growing concerns around inequality in Nigeria, Special Advisor to President Tinubu on National Economic Council, Rukaya El-Rufai, has called on Nigerian youths to rise above apathy and hold public officials accountable. She made the call at a special National Youth Dialogue on Inequality in Abuja, Nigeria's capital. Ubong Usoro now reports.
At the Special National Dialogue on Inequality, the Special Advisor to the President on the National Economic Council, Rukaya El-Rufai, emphasized the need for young Nigerians to reject politicians who fail to implement people-centered policies. She urged them to support and reward leaders who demonstrate integrity and a commitment to justice.
Create equal opportunities and platforms that create that and create platforms for social mobility. And the silver bullet here is truly education. Then the healthcare, access to healthcare. Investing in human capital largely.
Senator representing the Federal Capital Territory, Ireti Kengibe, stated that inequality in Nigeria goes beyond gender issues as it affects all sectors and contributes significantly to the country's current socio-economic challenges. She stressed that addressing inequality holistically is key to national development and called on young people to use their voices and numbers to drive real policy change.
One of the things I keep saying is that I would be pleased to be part of the assembly that opens the doors for women to attend, to be at the table, to be part of governance and policy making.
Participants were encouraged to become ambassadors of equity and justice, ensuring that the fight against inequality remains a collective responsibility. Ubong Usoro for Global Television.
Thank you, Ubong. The federal government has unveiled a visa application travel policy to eliminate identity card fraud and unauthorized third-party agents. Minister of Foreign Affairs Yusuf Tugar said the policy is part of efforts to remove all obstacles faced by Nigerians seeking visas, and while ensuring that people with questionable records are put under checks. The policy is also expected to address the issue of visa application refunds for unsuccessful applicants. In another development, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has confirmed that the United States has yet to reverse its recently imposed visa restrictions on certain Nigerian citizens despite diplomatic appeals from the federal government. Spokesperson for the ministry, Kimiebi Ebienfa, said the engagements are ongoing, but the policy is yet to be reversed so far. The implication of the development is that the visa restrictions may remain in place as the United States has not provided a formal response to Nigeria's request for a review. In the meantime, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Maitama Tugar, has reaffirmed Nigeria's commitment to deepening its relationship with Côte d'Ivoire in the collective pursuit of peace, stability, and prosperity. Tugar said this in a congratulatory message to his Ivorian counterpart, Kuchu Huja Leon Adom, Minister of Foreign Affairs, African Integration and Diaspora, on the occasion of Côte d'Ivoire's independence anniversary. In a statement by the ministry spokesperson, Kimiebi Imomotimi Ebienfa, Tugar expressed Nigeria's goodwill and readiness to strengthen bilateral ties between both nations. A coalition of aviation unions has directed all staff of the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency to halt services indefinitely starting Monday, August 11, 2025, over unresolved issues. The decision was announced in a joint notice issued by 4 major unions representing aviation professionals. The unions issued a 7-day ultimatum to the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, over the prolonged delay in implementing a new salary structure for workers under the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, says it will carry out thorough investigation into the real estate sector as part of concerted efforts to curb corruption. Executive Chairman of the Commission, Ola Olukoyede, made this known at an event organized by the Law Corridor firm on policy dialogue on the critical issues affecting Nigeria's real estate ecosystem in Abuja. Kabir Hassan reports. We'll have those details for you later. Meanwhile, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has received a total of 151 letters of intent from associations seeking registration as political parties, with 8 new submissions recorded since late July. The Commission's National Commissioner and Chairman of Information and Voter Education Committee, Sam Olumeko, disclosed this in a statement where he said the Commission has begun shortlisting these associations to determine which meets the requirements to proceed to the next stage of application. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, says candidates below 16 years will now face tough screening before qualifying for university admission, even if they have exceptional unified tertiary matriculation examination scores. The board's registrar, Professor Ishak Oloyede, said only those who meet strict academic, emotional, and psychological benchmarks will be considered, citing the need to protect young students from academic abuse. The board has already removed over 38,000 underage candidates from its admission system, with only 599 qualifying for possible screening under new rules. Nigeria and India have agreed to intensify joint action against transnational opioid trafficking, especially the illegal shipment of tramadol and codeine into West Africa. Chairman of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, Brigadier General Buba Marwa, retired, and the Director General of India's Narcotics Control Bureau, Anurag Garg, made the commitment during a meeting pledging enhanced intelligence sharing, technical collaboration, and joint training. Both countries acknowledged the growing threats of synthetic drug abuse and vowed to disrupt international syndicates exploiting legal trade routes. Troops of the 6th Brigade Nigerian Army have rescued 7 kidnapped victims abducted along the Chinkai-Kente-Wukari Road in Taraba State. The victims were freed during a coordinated offensive in Chinkai Forest and Wadi community after the kidnappers fled under sustained military pressure. Brigade Commander Brigadier General Kingsley Uwa hailed the operation as a major success and reaffirmed the Army's commitment to combating kidnapping and securing the region. This is Global Television tonight. You're watching the live broadcast of News Prime with Uyi Agmofwewe. When the rest of the news returns, Super Falcons coach Madugu nominated for 2025 Ballon d'Or Award. Details coming shortly, plus business and foreign stories on the other side of this break. Please do stay with us. Well, thank you for staying with us, everyone. You're watching the live broadcast of News Prime here on Global Television. The second part of this news returns now with business. President Bola Tinubu has approved the recapitalization of the Bank of Agriculture with 1.5 trillion naira. A statement issued by the Ministry of Agriculture says the approval marks the most significant boost to agricultural finance in Nigeria's history. This came as the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abubakar Kyari, disclosed in the statement that the implementation of the National Agricultural Technology and Innovation Policy will accelerate Nigeria's agricultural ecosystem. Minister of State for Health, Isiaq Salako, says Nigeria's local manufacturers are recording 12% reduction in the cost of production as a result of the ongoing implementation of the execution order on the pharma industry signed by President Bola Tinubu. Salako, who said this at the Business Day Health Conference in Abuja, noted that the reduction is expected to result in similar reduction in the cost of stockpiles manufactured in the country. In June 2024, President Tinubu had signed an executive order aimed at eliminating tariffs, excise duties, and value-added tax on specialized machinery, equipment, and raw materials for pharmaceuticals. Minister of State for Defense Bello Metawalle has commissioned Defense Industry Corporation of Nigeria DICON office in Abuja. The minister says the corporation will be used for local production of military hardware. Tamsi Gimba has the rest of the story.
The Minister of State Defense Bello Metawalle says the Commission of Defense Industry Corporation of Nigeria will save Nigeria's foreign exchange and provides military collaboration in fighting insecurity in the country.
Your shared investment of resources, expertise, and trust is a testament to what can be achieved when vision is matched with action.
The Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, said with the commission of DICON has stopped the importation of military hardware into the country.
I must use this opportunity to commend DICON for the bold initiative when it comes to charting the way forward in terms of our self-sufficiency in military hardware production.
Meanwhile, the National Chairman of Progressive Congress APC, Professor Nintawe Yewalda, eulogized President Bola Tinubu and his renewed hope agenda, saying that the administration has spent over 1.5 trillion naira only for defense. He expressed optimism that insecurity will soon be defeated.
The government has put in money to build a new economy around the youths. The same thing we are seeing in defense and the economy also.
The Chief Executive Officer, DICON, Major General M.A. Manawasa, and the Director General, DICON, Major General I.B. Alaya, including the Accountant General of the Federation, attended the ceremony. Topsy Gimba, reporting for Global Television News.
Well, thank you, Topsy. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi says the country is fully prepared to stand its ground. This comes hours after U.S. President Donald Trump signed an executive order raising tariffs on India to 50% as a penalty over oil purchases from Russia. Zerao Nasir completes the report.
Indian exporters have warned that the cost of additional U.S. tariffs risks making businesses not payable after President Donald Trump ordered stiffer levies totaling 50% on imported Indian goods. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says he is willing to pay a great personal price, while opposition Congress party leader Rahul Gandhi called the levies economic blackmail and attempt to bully India into an unfair trade deal. Stocks opened marginally lower on Thursday, with the benchmark Nifty index down 0.31% after an initial 25% U.S. tariff came into effect. That levy would be doubled in 3 weeks after Trump signed an order to impose an additional 25% tariff because of New Delhi's continued purchases of Russian oil, a key revenue source for Moscow's war in Ukraine. Zahra Nasir reporting for Global TV News.
Thank you so very much, Zerao. Let's go further into the foreign scene tonight. Amid escalating tensions between Sudan and the United Arab Emirates, the Sudanese army now says it has destroyed an Emirati plane at Nyala Airport in Darfur. It claims the aircraft took off from the Gulf and was carrying Colombian mercenaries and military equipment intended for the Rapid Support Forces, which controls the area. Khartoum has long accused the United Arab Emirates of using Yanla Airport to supply advanced weaponry to the paramilitary group, with whom the army has been at war since April of 2023. France President Emmanuel Macron has called for a tougher stance against Algeria's disrespect. Macron made a call in a letter to Prime Minister François Bayrou, noting that Foreign Ministry is to officially notify Algeria of the suspension of a 2013 agreement that exempted diplomatic and official passport holders from visa requirements. Paris and Algiers have been embroiled for more than a year in an unprecedented diplomatic crisis that has resulted in the expulsion of officials on both sides, the mutual recall of ambassadors from both countries, as well as restrictions on holders of diplomatic visas. Russian President Vladimir Putin says he hopes to meet next week with United States President Donald Trump, possibly in the United Arab Emirates. The news came on the eve of a White House deadline for Russia to show progress toward ending the 3-year-old war in Ukraine. Putin's foreign affairs advisor Yuri Ushakov had said earlier a summit could possibly take place next week at a venue that has been decided in principle. Let's go find some excitement now from the world of sport. President of the Athletics Federation of Nigeria, Tenobok Okowa, has confirmed that the United States-based sprinter Favour Ofili has switched allegiance to Turkey, calling for urgent financial support from both governments and private sponsors to prevent further loss of the country's elite athletes to foreign nations. Okowa made the revelation during a press briefing at the 2025 National Athletics Championship held at the Yaba College of Technology in Lagos State. Ofili's switch comes just months before the 2025 World Athletics Championships in Tokyo, although her name still appears under Nigeria on the World Athletics website. Federation insiders say the change is imminent. Super Falcons tactician Justin Madugu has been nominated for the prestigious 2025 Ballon d'Or Women's Team Coach of the Year trophy. The nomination places Madugu among the global elite of women's football coaching following his remarkable leadership with the Nigerian women's national team. The accolade celebrates coaches who have demonstrated outstanding strategy, motivation, and performance in guiding their teams on the international stage. And still talking football, Al Hilal have reached an agreement to sign Liverpool striker Darwin Núñez for €53 million. Núñez is now expected to have a medical before his move to the Saudi Pro League. The 26-year-old Uruguay forward joined in June 2022 from Portuguese side Benfica for an initial fee of €64 million. Tonight, we end News Prime with a look at some of our big stories. President Bola Tinubu has ordered the immediate implementation of overdue pension increases and the rollout of free healthcare access for low-income retirees under the contributory pension scheme. The Federal Executive Council has approved the creation of the National Council on Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction. In business, President Bola Tinubu has approved the recapitalization of the Bank of Agriculture with 1.5 trillion naira. On the foreign scene, Russian President Vladimir Putin says he hopes to meet next week with United States President Donald Trump, possibly in the United Arab Emirates. And finally, in sports, we told you, President of the Athletics Federation of Nigeria, Tinubu Okowa, has confirmed that the United States-based sprinter Favour Ofili has switched allegiance to Turkey, calling for urgent financial support from both government and private sponsors to prevent further loss of the country's elite athletes to foreign nations. A quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channels 365 and Star Times 276. As always, we encourage you to follow and engage with us across social media platforms using @GlobalTVNG as well as other handles as you now see on your screen. On behalf of all my colleagues who have made tonight's news broadcast possible, I am Uyi Agumofugbe saying we appreciate your time with us and bye-bye.